Good evening, folks. How y'all doing? This is Topic Mixer, and I hope you're having a good Sunday afternoon, evening, and enjoying yourself. I know I am. The one thing I'm watching right now is Netflix, and let's talk about Netflix. Yeah, I love Netflix. Um, so what I'm watching, I had just got through watching was 22 Miles. It's an awesome Netflix movie. If you get a chance to watch it, uh, talk about some of the things I didn't like and some of the things I did like. Okay, so basically the movie's about the CIA. We can call them extraction team. Um, something like an extraction team. You can call them kind of like an action team, kind of like the SWAT is for American police. It's the same it is for our CIA. They have their own version of that military action team that they need when they have such situations. So you can say that's what these guys were doing. So basically, what happened was the movie is called 22 Miles. It's an extraction point that goes 22 miles. And you can just imagine the chaos during that 22 miles. So the adversary here in this movie is kind of deceptive. And that's a good thing. So the person that they are extracting is this young gentleman uh, from that area of the country. I think it's like Singapore or Thailand. It's somewhere in that area, Southeast Asia area. Um, so they're extracting him because he says he has information where there are nuclear materials around the world that his government has been hiding, along with probably Russian agents. And so, of course, in the process, he comes to the embassy. He turns himself in at the embassy because he's fearing for his life, quote unquote, fearing for his life. And he has this disk or hard drive with information on it. But the thing is, the hard drive has a password. Also, it has a deterioration process. So you've only got so long before all the information is wiped off the disk. So not only is the CIA trying to break the code, but this guy wants asylum in the U.S. So in exchange for the asylum, they do this, which they probably wouldn't do for a guy who's considered an agent. Um, but in this case, they gave him the asylum. We're going to give him the asylum. But the thing is, of course, there are people after him. So the only way they could get him out of the embassy and to the United States was take him to a plane. Outside the embassy is where trouble can happen for a guy like this. Because outside the embassy, there's no holds bar. The United States it's not, that particular host country is not responsible for what happens to that person. Inside the embassy, he's protected. So, anyway, they set up this 22-mile thing. They were going to extract him, get on an airplane. Well, in the process of that, of course, the bad guys ambushed them. Wow, and I mean, some serious gunfights. Not really any big car chases in this one, but there's like some serious gunfights, explosions, boom, 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 and the plot. So the adversary in this movie was bad. I mean, bad to the bone. He had all these guys that, he had all these other paramilitary trained guys that he was using to try to catch this other guy. Okay. Mark Wahlberg talked himself to death through that whole part, but at the same time, the action is really good. So you got to pay attention to the action. This is one of the top 10 movies right now on Netflix. If you get an opportunity to watch it, they get this person to the extraction point, or they try to get this person to the extraction point. In the process, they lose a lot of their team members. Some of them you met from the beginning of the show. You never get any in-depth except for maybe Wahlberg and this other female character that's in the show. You don't get really in-depth into the other characters. And of course, the gentleman that they're extracting, you get that. I won't spoil the end of it for you, but believe me, there is a huge plot twist at the end of this movie. Okay, like I said, one of the biggest distractions in the movie was Mark Wahlberg. There was a scene at the beginning of the movie where they're talking about trying to figure out where this nuclear material was, and he was going off on everybody in the room, talking about, you don't understand how big this is, and then, like I said, it reminded you of Ryan Reynolds in a lot of movies, and I was like, this is unnecessary. It was kind of like not necessary at all. Mark Wahlberg's character to me should have been darker, quieter. He had a mental issue. Come to find out, he was smarter than, quote unquote, smarter than everybody else, but had a tendency for violence. So he had to do things to distract himself. He wore this yellow band on his arm. He pulled on it and popped on it. So I guess initiate some pain so he could calm down. His psychological issues kept appearing over and over and over again during the movie, which is a distraction. And I don't see how the CIA would hire a guy like this. But okay, if he's prone to violence, maybe that's why they hired him for this particular job. So, that was one issue I had. Some other characters had things going on that I thought were kind of distracting. The other female agent in this movie was having trouble with, I guess, her ex-husband. He was trying to get custody of the kids, so he kept phoning her during the process of this. They love to throw those little things in to kind of give you an extra distraction during the movie. So, he called her, and she said the F word, and talking about, aha, I got you, you can't say that on here, and all this. Yeah. Anyway, the best part of the movie was the action. Plenty of action from, there were some parts where they slowed down a little bit so you can get an idea of what's going on. So when this gentleman comes to the embassy in whatever country this is, they talk about that, and, his own government tries to come and negotiate to get him sent back to them, which failed. Because apparently they had some agents penetrate the embassy and get into a fight with this gentleman who he beat up. Now, this guy's a martial artist. If you've ever seen his one, I think Pak, and I forgot some of the other movies he's in, but he's an awesome martial artist. If you ever get a chance, you need to watch those. He's really good at that. But like I said, if you get a chance to watch that, you need to watch that as well. His character was strong but silent. Apparently, his English isn't that good, or at least they wanted to play as if his English wasn't that good, so he didn't have a lot of lines in the movie, but that was perfectly fine because what he did in the movie, it was powerful. His role in the movie was powerful. He was a good character in the movie. I don't want to give too much away in the plot. If you get a chance, watch this movie. You will enjoy it. I promise you will enjoy it. It's 22 miles. So if you get a chance, watch that movie. Like I said, Netflix has a lot of gems on there. I also want to talk about one other one. It was called His House. His House was, I guess you could say it was a horror flick. I'd say it was a psychological thriller more than a horror flick. The reason why I say that, it's about two refugees who have come to England seeking asylum from Africa. I don't think they ever mention what country they're from, but they are from Africa. So in the process of getting there, they had to come over on a boat. That boat sank, and I guess they were rescued from the waters. And when they were rescued from the waters, they were brought to England. And so they were there seeking asylum. As the plot twist goes, the English set them up in a house that they had to stay in until they told them that they couldn't. The house was horrible. It was in pretty bad shape. But they told them they had to stay in this house. And they would, it gave them some money to stay there. So they stayed there. They couldn't get a job or do any of those things. They were seeking asylum, and a decision would be made on whether they could stay or not. Well, okay, so while they were in this house, apparently there was a spirit that lived in the house. The spirit was appearing to the husband for the most part. It kept eating at his soul. Well, as a plot twist, let's add something to it. I had thought, watching the movie, they had lost their child. Come to find out, not exactly. Again, I don't want to give it away, but this child becomes a distraction that causes the ghost to appear in the house, start all these spirits appearing in the house. It's kind of like a horror flick that has a underlying message. So here we go. What do I mean by underlying message? Like I said, they were refugees from Africa. So in the process, all kinds of little tweaky things happen to them, nasty things happen to them. So you got people here who are suffering from PTSD because of the journey they came from, in the situation they came from, in the country they came from. And then on top of that, you have people who look like them, or like me, who say things like, go back to Africa. and you have how they're treated by the other English people in the movie. It's interesting to watch because in the end, what this story is really about, not really about horror, but about African refugees in England. And wow, it turns out to be a good movie. I don't want to give away the ending of the movie because you haven't seen it, but watch it. It's a psychological thriller. The husband goes mad in the house and he starts tearing out walls. The wife goes on a trek to try to, I guess, find some civility. In the end, it's kind of like a husband and wife kind of thing where one person pulls themselves out of the misery of their psychological torture and then has to pull the other person along. That's how I'm going to end that without you watching the movie. So when you watch the movie, you're like, it's called His House. You've got to see this film. It's very good. So if you get an opportunity to watch that. There are some other gems on there, some older gems. Some of y'all probably know about Extraction, man. If you like Thor, the gentleman from Thor, you'll like Extraction. Extraction is a pretty good film. It's similar to 22 Miles with a twist. The heroine in the story takes a lot of abuse and a lot happens to him in the end. And again, the question I have for this one is there going to be a sequel? Maybe, maybe not. All I can tell you is watch this movie. It is awesome. I've been watching some other films on Netflix. I've been watching the documentary series. One of my favorites is the World War II in color film series because I'm a big war buff. Sorry, I like war stuff. I like history of war. I can't say I like war. I like the history about it. So if you watch those in color, any of the World War II series is good to watch. They're wonderful, especially the one I'm watching now in color. I think it's good because it's giving better information. The one that's made by Netflix. So if you get a chance, watch that. Who Killed Malcolm X was awesome. I don't know if that's still on Netflix, but if you get a chance, watch that. That series was heart-wrenching, and a lot of information was given out on that one. Who Killed Malcolm X is an awesome series if you get a chance to watch that too. Lastly, I'll say this. I'm upset with Netflix for one thing, because I've watched Luke Cage, I've watched Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and even Iron Fist, which is not that great. The Defenders was awesome. I hate the fact that Marvel couldn't work this out with Netflix to keep those series going. Okay? I do not want to buy Disney Plus. So, if I'm going to watch Star Wars, I'm probably going to have to buy DVD. Yes, DVDs. I said I'm going to buy them DVDs. So I'm going to have to buy them on DVD if they have them on DVD. I don't think Disney wants to put them out on DVD. They're trying to get everybody to get Disney Plus. So, man, and I assume eventually they're going to do a new Luke Cage, a new Daredevil, and all that. I'm still watching The Punisher. Man, that is one bloody, messy, dark TV show to watch. If you watch that, man, whoa, somebody was sick and sadistic who made it. That's all I can say. But it's still good. They're all good. So I just wish they could have stayed on Netflix. That's the only thing I want to complain about this evening. But there's plenty to watch on Netflix. They even got the old Indiana Jones movies, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 was awful. They got those on there. They got all the Ocean 12, 13, 14. They got those on there. The Irishman, I didn't quite finish that one. But they got The Irishman on there. Some other good action movies. There's plenty of action movies. There was one I watched the other night. Can't even think of the name of it. The whole time the guy was in the car. Sometimes his daughter was in the car with him. Some other people were in the car with him. But the whole action centered around him. He was the driver. I think that's what he was. It was the driver or the getaway man. Something like that. Anyway, basically in the movie, this thing, it was brilliantly done into the fact that there were some action scenes and some violence, but for the most part, it was the psychological part of this guy in the car trying to get away from these bad people that he had got himself into. And, his daughter was he ended up having his daughter in the car, and this guy came after his wife, and he did all this. The movie was pretty darn good. That's all I'm going to say. If you get a chance, watch that one too. There's several movies on Netflix. If you get a chance to watch them. There's some other movies that have been there for a while. Um, that's it. I'm finna watch SEAL Team 6. I haven't had a chance to watch this movie, so I'm gonna watch that, and I'll probably do a review on it later. If you like this review, please hit the like button below, share, and tell your friends about it. And y'all have a great day.